everyone's already aware pretty much. I just want to give my input as a player that's been here since launch on console and who is a PC transfer. Capped out on console, had all my gear gold, had all, all my sets, everything that I needed on console, and I came over here. And I mean, I've just been pretty bitter ever since like grinding up on the PC. I'm at like 690 now, but I mean, I haven't put emphasis on even getting up in the past year. I've been on PC for the last year, just not playing a whole lot, but enough, and just to get a feel for what the servers are like, PvP, and all that good stuff. Seeing if it'd be a lot better than what it is on console, because everybody knows it's a nightmare on console with lag, in-game lag, and all that. So just as this game's marketed, it's like it's marketed as a group game, oriented game, and they never um, really had regard towards the solo player and even the skill gap that's involved in this game. This game is a very competitive skill-based game, talking with animation cancels, knowing your rotation, knowing how certain abilities counter other abilities, how certain classes counter other classes, and really in PvP, it was a very, very technical game. Now, what they have done with over the years have dumbed down this game so much, and this is pretty much saying like with this video, I'm directing towards the veteran players, the people who pride themselves on being skilled players in this game, and it's always a fighting uphill battle to try to go into a open world Cyrodiil and try to fight outnumbered. Um, and or small man duos for like small groups. It's your odds are stacked against you, and as it already is with fighting bigger groups and going out to kill army and hordes of people. But then now we have Zos cracking down on us with the nerf hammer and just making things near impossible for any players. So, and this is the direction they wanted to take. Now I can go in the past and bring up a bunch of stuff that proves my point and validates it. And they contradict themselves because they've never had an idealistic, vision of this game and foundation. They knew what was going to happen, 4 years ago when they let all the PC transfers come over to console, and for them to think otherwise, you know, it's a lie, and they knew exactly like the kind of play style and everything that was going to happen. I remember, in the like origins of this game, seeing PC transfers come over and destroy hordes of like kids. Like we're talking Zerg, like one player destroying like 10 kids easily, maybe even like 20. I've seen groups of 2 destroy groups of 20, and like so on. I've seen some of the most ridiculous gameplay, and if you speak to any of these veterans, that have done this, they will tell you without a doubt it is the funnest PvP experience that they've ever had, ever, in any game. It's an addiction, like that you can be such a good player to or witty enough to be able to put yourself in these outnumbered scenarios and come out with a W. And Zos, whether they like it or not, they should have regard for this aspect to the game, but they don't. And that's where there's a disconnect amongst the veterans and just the developers. So, yeah, this is going to be a good rant here. I got 10 more minutes. So, well, with the Sorcerer class, this upcoming patch is not just a problem for it. It's a problem for the whole game, and anyone that sees this should be like, oh well, this is horrible, and quit while we can get ahead. And I mean, you take notes from Cypher, King Richard, and a lot of these guys. We should have got the memo, and it's just like a lot of us are still here in this weird segment and timeline of the game. But I mean, who wants to play a game that they can't even fight 2 or 3 players that they know are horrible players in PvP? And this, it takes a prolonged hour to maybe even just then get a W. That's what the kind of PvP we're talking about now. I get an adrenaline rush if I can get a good 1v3 or anything above that. And you see these people that are, you know, perma blocking, have, you know, just all like, you know, 40k health, and everybody running heavy armor now being at 20k health, literally doing more damage than someone who's wearing light armor. Someone who's wearing light armor and around 20k health, and it's like, well, what's the point of wearing light armor? There should be more incentive to wear light armor. Same with medium. It should be, you know, you should have more damage, you know, I guess better, yeah, better sustain too. And with the next patch, light armor pretty much is going to be, you know, useless for those people trying to use harness, and just in general, yeah. I mean, it's just not going to be, for a lot of Magicka users, it's not going to be viable, I would say. Now, you know, in the original design of Sork, I think it was, you know, pretty much fair. You know, a lot of us Sorks were crying about, you know, back in the day when Streak gets nerfed and, you know, shields. But, you know, we adjusted to that, and it's like, that's fair, you know, 8-second timers. Oh, you can't streak across Cyrodiil now. Okay, all right. Okay, well, this is justified. And basically, it's not just a Sork issue now. And, I mean, their intent basically is to cripple every 1BX defense in the game. Especially with what's coming up to Shuffle, and I believe it's, you know, that they do something to dodge roll too. And I mean, they're basically standardizing the game as a whole. And looking at the Sork class, I can go on a list here of, you know, abilities that have just been completely gutted. And it's like, we thought, you know, the sky was falling when, you know, the Crystal Frag nerf was the most detrimental nerf to me and any other Sork player, because that took the ceiling off the class completely at that point from the skill, meaning as in duels. And like, when you dueled other best like sorcerers who were the best at their class, and I know, trust me, all the notable players on console and PC who were very good players, and I've dueled some of the best. I don't want to say I am one of the best, because that's very narcissistic sounding, but I would say I have I've been here. Like I said, I have 7,000 hours on my class. I've seen it all, you know. And basically, it's just that frag stun, when that got taken out, because everything counted on that frag stun. Back in the back when, you know, the Dawn, if you do not block that one frag, it would get followed up with a Dawnbreaker, and pretty much 99% of the time you were dead. That's what Sork dueling came down to: blocking every frag, you know, maintaining your you know, your rotation, and trying to get that burst off on the other player. So if we go through a list here of abilities that have been nerfed, let's see here. They nerfed Crystal Frags, alright? They've nerfed him like twice. Now it is 30% damage, I believe, with the amount of the guild taken out, which is completely uncalled for. And they're never going to return this ability back to the way it was, and if they do, they're going to say, be happy, oh, we're going to give you a one that does less damage, and here's a stun. You know, that's what they're already talking about, to my knowledge, which is retarded. Absolutely retarded. Crit healing. They nerfed crit healing back in the day, which is pretty detrimental to the class too, as far as like Emperor, you know, Emperor builds and stuff like that. It was crazy, you know, what the stuff you could do, you know, like with the crit healing, how good, well it was. And then they nerfed, you know, shields. So they nerfed your shields. That if nerfing it once wasn't good enough, they got to gut it again. That's just the approach we're taking here now. So this is coming from the generic, you know, anti-Sork brigade, who anybody could be a good player, and they just undermine it. Oh, you shield stacker. You're maintaining, you know, wards that are 5 seconds, and, you know, you killed me. Oh, your class is unbalanced. They screw it, right? Okay, Rune Cage, I justify that, even though it's like they took our core stun away, which is our frags. But still, it's like, I can see how this is a nuisance to the game, where you delete any player, pretty much. But still, people were like, oh, Sork was best in slot, you know, 2 or 3 patches ago. No, it wasn't. You can't take one ability in one combo and then justify the whole class. Like, that's what people do. And it's just completely, like, you haven't seen what the class has lost out on. It used to be, like, the best. We're talking the best. like in discussion with Nightblade and then MagDK in early stages of the game. But then everyone was like, oh, they have the Rune Cage Meteor, a cult that costs 160 or 50, and they're and honestly, if you're good, you could have breaking the CC. It's just, typically these are the people that are all complaining were the people that can't break CCs and don't have thumbs. It's truly, like that's what's happening here. So then we got Rune Cage, which I didn't mind. Now Overload, they already nerfed Overload one time, but now they're about to completely destroy this ability. The one that makes us the most diverse class, typically, like I would say, is having that other, extras abilities, but they're about to completely just destroy this, and they already nerfed it. So now, then after Overload, you got other abilities, Dark Conversion. Yeah, Dark Conversion that's gotten nerfed. And also that they get rid of slotting ulti on Overload. So even though that was more of an exploit, but still, goodbye, Indirect nerfs. Let's go to some indirect nerfs. The most detrimental one, in my opinion, Dawnbreaker. Well, people say, oh, well, Dawnbreaker wasn't meant for, sorcerers or magic classes. Well, these are the developers of this game. That's a stupid argument. If the game came out like that and, this was the original design, then they should have done something like making Dawnbreaker stamina-based or magicka-based. To completely take it away, from certain classes is just, I mean, it's ridiculous. Hopefully that's something they would do in the future, but like I've always said, anything with Dawnbreaker and Shuffle is going to be better, typically stamina than anything magicka. So Dawnbreaker being huge, other nerfs, Eye of the Flame. I don't really care about Eye of the Flame. Oh well. Might of the Guild being pretty big. That's being a pretty detrimental nerf too. So, where is that? Let's see, Mage's Guild right here. All right, let's go to Might of the Guild. And how I know these people don't know what they're doing? They tried to make Might of the Guild irrelevant and obsolete, but then they turn around and make it only good for the sorcerer class as in a ganking gimmick with Overload. So you can buff your Overload light attacks, and then it's like these people are literally clueless. Then they nerf Flame Clinch as far as the fallback, and I think there's certain abilities too. But I think it's funny how when the DSA staff became best in slot, guess what happens now? Well, they nerfed the full effect of basically being thrown off ledges, etc. And I think they're doing that now with, what is it, Aurora Javelin with the Templar's ability, but after several patches later. So it's like, we can't let these people have too much fun, like with the CC, the original CC, and what it was intended to do. So that kind of pissed me off when I had to use Flame. Like, I fell back on finally getting the DSA staff and having Flame Clinch, and I'm literally, like, trying to fling people off edges and stuff. And guess what? Now it's not. They have to have an imaginary barrier fucking save their ass. So, I mean, it's cool, Rest of Ults got nerfed, and I don't say another, just a one that's absolutely was, like, pretty significant was a Nebdet. And they made that ability completely useless. They're just like, oh gosh, we don't know what we were doing here. Let's just, with this design, let's just, make this ability just completely useless. So, when we're talking about a lot of abilities here, there is a lot of abilities that have, and that's not even on top of sets. I can't even name all the sets off the top of my head. You got Spinners, Burning Spellweave, Amber Plasm, Necro. I mean, I'm sure there's more sets than that. But as a class, yeah, it's pretty apparent that they don't want you to play this Magic Sorcerer class in this upcoming patch or ever again. So I would say just pretty much make him your best crafter, and that's it. You're just gonna log on, you're gonna craft some things, and welcome to Tamriel, and just be the legendary crafter of Tamriel, But yeah, people don't want to. It's not a popular argument, like I said, and it's just, I don't know. It's unfortunate to see this class and the way they've treated PvP in a whole since I've been here. Thank you.